People across the country are gearing up for this weekend's Women's March on Washington. It was founded 2 years ago, bringing together more than 400,000 protesters in Washington, D.C. alone. The movement also sparked more than 600 sister marches worldwide. But this year's third annual march is clouded with controversy. The Women's March organization is under fire for their ties to the Nation of Islam's leader, Louis Farrakhan. Co-founder Tamika Mallory attended an event last winter where Farrakhan made anti-Semitic remarks, and Mallory and the Women's March organization have condemned the incendiary comments that were made, but have yet to condemn Farrakhan himself. Well, several organizations have dropped their partnership with the Women's March. They include the Democratic National Committee, the Southern Poverty Law Center, Emily's List, and the National Council of Jewish Women. Now, the sense of this unity that was created by the march in 2017 is now being tested as Jewish women and other diverse groups of people debate whether they should even come out for Saturday's march. I want to bring in Linda Sarsour from Washington. She's a national organizer of the Women's March, and she joins us now. Linda, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
You bet. I got to ask you, what happened? Why have these groups dropped out?
I think it's important to understand that organizing a movement with women from all over the country, different religious backgrounds, different political ideologies and leanings, different class, that we're going to sometimes disagree on issues. Many of us come from communities of color where we have complex identities, complex relationships. But what's important here is that we did organize the largest single-day demonstration in American history. And we also declared in 2017 that we will win back the House, and we did. And we and our partners sent over 100 women to Congress, including women of color and progressive women. So we will work through this. Our controversy is not more controversial than a president and an administration who cages children, who has shut down the government in the longest shutdown in history, where 800,000 people are without pay, collusion with Russia, complicity in the war in Yemen. So this controversy is part of social movements. This is what happens, and we are working through that. And we are grateful for the Jewish women who have joined our steering committee, who are on our policy committee, and will be speaking at this Saturday's D.C. march.
But isn't this more than just a setback? I mean, these are women. I was on the ground when this march first happened. We saw women like yourself with hijabs on. We saw people of color. But all of a sudden, to have groups like the DNC that was fully behind this to suddenly say, we're bowing out, isn't that a big blow?
The DNC has never been an official partner of the Women's March.
But there have been many women who are hugely active in the DNC who have led their voices in such a huge way to this march.
Absolutely, absolutely. And those women are still involved with our movement, and we're very proud of our work and our electoral organizing and our Power to the Polls program. To be clear, the Women's March is a decentralized network. There are women who have rose up across the country to lead chapters. We have over 100 chapters across the country. There are over 280 sister marches that will be engaging in activities and marches on Saturday as well. Like I said, this is history. We continue to organize and mobilize. We are a powerful force. And while we, as the Women's March, unequivocally condemn anti-Semitism, racism, anti-Black racism, xenophobia, and homophobia, our opposition also sees the power of when women come together from all different backgrounds. So while there are controversies and there are people who are concerned and valid critiques of us and our work and our movement, we have to also understand that the opposition is exploiting the differences that we have. And we say, no, we will not be divided, and we will continue to march forward to 2020.
You know, one of the criticisms is that your colleague, Tamika Mallory, had called Louis Farrakhan a goat, on social media, saying, greatest of all times is what GOAT stands for. And also that he had come out and said about the Jewish people that they are responsible for all this filth and degenerate behavior that Hollywood is putting out, turning men into women and turning women into men. Why not come out and just condemn Farrakhan outright, which is not just what Jewish women are calling for, but other organizations are also calling for?
Again, the Women's March has unequivocally rejected and condemned anti-Semitism, anti-Black racism, and xenophobia. And Tamika Mallory,
but these organizations are saying that's not enough. Why not come forward and condemn Farrakhan and say this is not what we're about?
We have explained this many times. We are trained in Kingian nonviolence, the ideology of Dr. Martin Luther King that says, attack the forces of evil, not those doing evil. It is why we do not attack Trump directly as a president, but we go after his behaviors and his policies. Anti-Semitism will be here after any condemnation of a person like Minister Farrakhan, but I cannot ask a Black woman who was saved by the Nation of Islam when her son's father was shot and killed when her son was only 2 years old and demand of her to denounce the Minister Farrakhan, just like we do not ask people to denounce people in their own families or people that they may be affiliated with who say things that are abhorrent and that they do not agree with. And again, this Women's March is not just Tamika Mallory. It is hundreds of women across the country. It is a social movement that is led by many women. For us to say that this movement is only about one woman and what one woman decides to do is unfair to the many women who continue to commit themselves to the work that we do.
I want to ask you about Saturday's march. When I was on the ground the first year, people wondered, is this going to be a moment or is this going to be a movement that lasts? What have you guys been planning and what can we expect for Saturday?
Absolutely. Like I said, we marched in 2017 in the largest single-day demonstration in American history. In 2018, we translated that movement into power at the polls. And right now, what you're going to see at that Saturday march is the unveiling of a very bold intersectional policy platform, which is a policy platform that we're hoping to push within the next 2 years into 2020. And you will see women of all diverse backgrounds, including Jewish women, on that stage who will be calling on our fellow Americans to adopt our platform that stands up for immigrants, for LGBTQ people, for Muslims, for refugees, for Black people, for all marginalized people, to alleviate the suffering at the hands of this administration.
All right, Linda Sarsour, I'm grateful you could join us and share your side of all of this. And I'm just curious, what's your message to these women who are choosing to pull out at this point? What do you want to say to them?
I say that we see you, that while you may not be with us at the march, we are still fighting for you and your families. And I hope that you understand that our common enemy here is white supremacy and this administration who continues to wreak havoc on our communities. And while we may have differences, unity is not uniformity. We may never always agree on everything, but I do believe that we all agree that we should all be treated with dignity and respect in these United States of America.
Linda Sarsour, grateful for your time. Linda, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.